So there you go. We're going to work on this question, and Miss Choi is so silly. I wrote everything out already, right? So let me erase all of this first. Okay, guys, so this is the next question. Today is day 2 for my lovely A students, right? So let's look at this question here. As you can see, Miss Choi has done some work. So Charlene wants to make $10 per hour babysitting and $5 per hour gardening. She wants to make at least $80 a week, but she doesn't want to work more than 12 hours a week. Describe all the possible combinations of hours that Charlene could work at each job, right? So I wanted to say that babysitting represents B, and then G represents gardening, right? So there you go, I wrote that down. And then now I have to set up an equation. Charlene makes $10 per hour babysitting, so if it's 1 hour, then it's $10. Uh-oh. But if it's 2 hours, it's going to be $20. How can you set that up? That's like a multiplication relationship, right? So it's going to be 10B. And then in addition to that, she's going to be gardening $5 per hour. So it's 1 hour, $5, and 2 hours, $10. So again, it's a multiplication relationship. So I'm going to put 5G. And then she wants to make at least $80 a week. That means she's gonna make equal to or more than $80. So the mouth has to open towards the amount of money that she is making on the left-hand side, okay? But she doesn't wanna work more than 12 hours a week. Okay, so she wants to work a little bit but still make $80 a week, right? So that's really cool. All right, so then the hours that she spends babysitting, which is B, and the hours that she spends gardening, which is G, when you add them together, it has to be no more than 12 hours, so less than 12 hours, right? So that's how you set it up. Now, it says describe all the possible combinations of hours that Charlene could work at each job. So what that means is, for example, let's say Charlene wants to work 2 hours babysitting, but only 1 hour gardening, because she has to work less than 12 hours, right? So then, how much money would she make? 10 times 2 is $20, and then 5 times 1 is $5. So if you go 20 plus 5 is only $25, but she wanted to make at least $80, right? So would 2 hours of babysitting and 1 hour of gardening work for her? No. So the question is saying describe all the possible combinations of hours that Charlene could work. And she has to work less than 12 hours and she still has to make more than $80, right? So when you have a question like this, how can you solve it? Well, systems of inequalities are the best way. So now that I have the equation, we have to graph it in order to figure out what our answer combination could be. So there you go. I'm going to just go ahead and draw a little graph thing here for you. Okay, and in order for us to graph this, we gotta change this equation in a format that we can actually recognize. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to say that the G is like right here on the y-axis, and then I'm going to say that the B is kind of like the x-axis. Okay, so if I want to write my equation in a way that is easy for me to graph, I'm going to have to leave the G by itself because this is like where the Y is, and so that's just how it is. So let's just work on the second equation. If I want to leave the G by itself, what do I have to do? Yep, subtract B from both sides of the inequality. So I'll have G is less than negative B plus 12. Okay, so there you go. Here's my first equation, and I'm going to graph it right now. So I'm going to find my 12 here. Obviously, this is not accurate. I'm going to erase the G here so you don't get confused, right? And then from here, my slope is -1, which means I go down 1 and to the right 1. So then, and then this is supposed to be a dotted line because there's no line underneath, right? And then it says G is less than, which means I gotta shade the bottom part, right? So this is the part that I'm shading, like all of it, all of this, okay? Underneath this line, okay? Now, I gotta work on this equation right here. But I can't graph just like that. I gotta leave the G by itself, right? So let's go on to a new page where I could go ahead and leave the G by itself. So there you go. Let me first write the equation down, which is, and I'm going to write this equation in blue. So that was 10B plus 5G, and that is equal to or greater than $80. So she wants to make more than $80, right? So I want to leave the G by itself. So first thing I want to do is subtract 10B from both sides, okay? So let's just go ahead and do that first. That's going to cancel out, and then I'm going to be left with 5G is equal to or greater than, and then don't forget to write the letter first, right? So it's negative 10B plus 80, right? Again, I still want to leave the G by itself, which means I got to get rid of the 5. The relationship between the two was multiplication, so I got to divide. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Don't forget, you got to do it for everything, okay? So that cancel out. I'm left with G, and that is equal to or greater than negative 10 divided by 5 is negative 2B. 80 divided by 5 is 16. Okay, so now I'm ready to graph. To graph this, I gotta go back to the previous screen, right? So let me just write down what the equation was that we came up with. That was G is equal to or greater than negative 2B plus 16. So there you go. I'll have, like, let's say this is like where 16 is, right? So here's my point. Then I have to go down to, because that's my slope, 1, 2, and then to the right one. And then this one has an equal sign, so that means I can draw like a solid line, okay, something like that. And then G is equal to or greater than, that means I gotta shade the top. And so I'm going to do that using this color. So then what do you think my answer is going to be? Yeah, my answer is going to be right here in between this and this. The reason why is because that's the only area where we shaded with both blue and gray. Okay, so now finally, look at the question because we have to answer the question. Our point was not just graphing. It says describe all the possible combinations of hours that Charlene could work at each job. Okay, so we have to find out for each job how many hours can she work. Like 3 hours here, 4 hours there, but it has to meet all her circumstances, right? We can't just guess and create a long table. That would take forever. So what that means is we'll have to find some points like over here, okay, over here, any of these points. And then those would be our answer. But as you can see, my graph is not accurate because I didn't use graph paper. So what I did was, ta-da, I gave you a graph, right? So now you can see, you can pick any point over here, okay? So for example, let's say I want to pick a point here. These could be any of the combinations, okay? So this is the exact same graph. We started at 16, went down 2 to the right one, and this is a solid line shaded on the right-hand side. We started at 12 here, went down 1 to the right one. This is a dotted line, and we shaded the bottom, right? So our answer is only here, only the part where it overlaps, okay? So just keep that in mind. So let's say I decided I'm going to pick this point. So what is that? Starting from 0, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that would be 6, comma, and I go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so if you remember, this line going sideways represented, what was it? I have to go back. Babysitting, and the line going up and down represented gardening, right? So basically, it will be 6 hours of babysitting and 5 hours of gardening. And if she does that, it will work because 6 plus 5 is 11. So she'll be working less than 12 hours. But at the same time, when she makes her money, it's going to be more than $80 because babysitting was $10, right? So 6 times 10 is 60. And then gardening was $5. So 5 times 5 is 25. So 60 plus 25 is $85. So she'll be able to make the amount of money that she needs to make because she says she needs to make at least $80 and still work the amount of hours that she wanted to work and still, you know, be happy. So of course your answers cannot be down here. You know why? Because you cannot work like negative whatever hours. So all your answers are probably going to be in this area right here. Okay, but you just have to give 3 different scenarios. So let's just go ahead and pick 3. So 6, 5, another one here was 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 2. So that'll be 8, comma 2. And then one final situation could be maybe like right here. So that's 10, 11. So that would be 11, comma 0. So our answer is going to be what? She can work 6 hours babysitting and 5 hours gardening, or she can work 11 hours babysitting, no hours gardening, or she can work 8 hours babysitting and 2 hours gardening, and she'll be able to work less than 12 hours and still make more than $80, okay? So I hope you understood how to solve this. And so now what I want to give you is question number 2 and 3 over here. Okay, so I realized some of question number 3 is kind of blocked because of my face. I'm sorry. So I'll do a screenshot and give it to you as a picture. But when you write your answer, it has to be like words, right? So Sandy has to make, for example, number 2, Sandy has to make how many cups of lemonade and how many cupcakes, okay? In order to earn at least $25 and sell at least 10 items. Okay, so give me your answer, draw the graph, do all the work that I did. But your answer has to be, in a sentence, okay? So when you are done, come see me, show me your graph. I want to see your graph. And then show me at least 3 different combinations that could be the answer, okay? So happy learning. Good job. Go get that A, all right?